Yeah, oh, Prof here. We're getting some work done. Yeah, doing some mining. Well, not really mining, you know. But server's finally got a 3900X in it. It was Squeers's. When he went up to a 5900, I eased that upgrade for him a little bit by buying his 3900 on there because I know it was going to go in the server. One day, the server will get somebody's 5950. At that point, it might even get the board from my desktop. But we're not here today for that, nor this stack of motherboards. Let's move the old laptop. For how small this thing actually is, it's actually like 2 laptops thick. I checked. It is like my Blade Stealth put a Surface on top. Makes sense since it's essentially a Blade Stealth plus a Surface. But holy, it's way more dense than that. So as much as I like this thing, it is a chunky boy. It does also charge off USB-C. Only does 100 watts, 730. So if you want the extra, it can even charge and use on the 100 watts, but it can't do full turbo and everything, unless you have the Surface charger for the 129 watts. And you're like, but they do 140 watt USB PD 3.1. They sure do, and Microsoft sure didn't update the laptop for it. Realistically, the Surface Laptop Studio 2 is what the Surface Laptop Studio 1 should have been. Has a proper dedicated graphics card. Also, the panel's been updated to be much more accurate. Turns out, same panel. They just fixed the software for it. So those of you that have the first gen, grump that they didn't do that for you, because it's literally the same panel. But I did not buy the first gen because it was just underpowered. Loved the concept. I thought they basically took the Surface. What was that one called? The one where it popped off. I forget. I had one of those for a little while. Got like a first gen used. Those had issues where they would just disconnect the keyboard though. That was since that one doesn't come apart. It never has that issue. I'm trying to think. It wasn't the Surface laptop. What was that one? Surface. Surface Book. There we go. It might have been a second gen. Because there was the performance base thing. I think it was the second gen because they held all that figured out. Originally, the performance base was like an separate upgrade they released later that you could buy. I thought that was going to be my ultimate system. Cost way too much at the time. That is when I bought my Lenovo ThinkPad 13. And you're like, Prof, you went from considering spending $3,000 on a laptop, which actually is not unreasonable. 1,800 is probably what, for a good laptop. Kind of expect that, especially if it's bespoke to your, like, if you want to make no compromises, you're going to spend at least $1,800. Yeah, and then I went with a i3 ThinkPad that I still use to this day as my repair PC. And I used it all through, I took my college art class and stuff. That's because back in that era, everything from an i3 to an i7 was all 2 cores. You gained nothing by going by an i7. Got me through many years, actually. Tried a couple different things. Blade Stealth. It was late 2020. So whatever, Skylake, first gen ThinkPad 13, second gen was a decent improvement, backlit keyboard and NVMe. First gen had no backlit keyboard, and M.2 SATA. which is fine. I think less people bought the... Oh, this is sticky here. Okay, we got the letter opener obviously going here. If you've seen this bag before, you might know where this came from. This is came from Japan. I think specifically this came from BUYEE, which is also Tenso, except BUYEE is the one that can buy for you. It's the name, BUYEE, or it might be, you know. So basically what they do is the places that won't take your American credit card because they're Japanese places, and even though it processes through their system and they figure out what your credit or what your credit company is and everything, and it's like, oh, is it this bank? Is it this? Blah 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 blah. Cool, let's process. And then it's like, oh, is not Japanese card? Deny. You're like, you fuckers. So that's my next thing to get past is I've already gotten over the cell phone hurdle. Right before you were able to no longer able to do that. So we got two things here. Let's get these guys opened up too. See? Letter opener. And brown bag number 1. Oh, and BUYEE did repack it. These came in from Rakuten? Rakutama or something like that is like the place where you list your own stuff on there. And why did I have to buy... That's kind of like a used-ish marketplace. Well, why did I have to go there? Well, this guy, which is I've been looking for many a year. Number girl. I don't really remember what that says, but it's basically live. And then 11, 28, 21, Osaka. You're like, that's written in English one, not Japanese one. Yes. Don't know. Japan's weird like that. Because at one point they had 2 different power grids. Texas had that though too. Theirs was weirder though, like Japan's was. That's why they have to have 50, 60 hertz, and like it's like 100 to 110 volt or something like that. Like it only slightly varied because of how it was built out. But this, there you go. Basically, and here it's in Japanese, where it's year, month, day. It's the way it should be. Now in day to day, I can kind of get behind Europe where it's day, month, year, because what do you want to know today? What day it is? You know, the U.S.'s month, day, year is. When do I want to know this May's and last May's or next May's? No. Of that same day? No. Garbage. So this was, and you're like, why is this a big deal? Well, this was a live event exclusive, meaning that in order to get this, you had to go to one of the it actually has 2022 number girl in there, 8-beater. So I believe this was their 2021 tour. That's the thing from Sapoke, I think it is. This is their 2021 tour that you bought at the, 2021, yeah, 2021 tour that you bought at the 2022 tour. Never sold it online, even when they did sell some of their merch from that tour online. They never sold the CD. So that is why you're like, why is this such a big deal? That is why, because the only way... Okay, that's just a messed up plastic. Good. Not a messed up CD. The only way to get this is to buy this album. And you're like, oh, you sure the only way? Well, pretty sure. Let's put it that way. Pretty sure. Both in both realms, legal and you know, because a lot of these things, you're like, you go through so much trouble for this stuff. Why? Well, in many cases, I don't necessarily have to. The stuff that you guys see are the stuff that, you know, hasn't left Japan by any means, period. Let's put it that way. So that is how / why I end up picking it up, is because, like I said, especially with this album here, only available at live events. So unless you're somebody who went to the live event and then did something with it, it's not going to be available. Now, while I was looking for this, because I went on, first I went on, how do I call it? What is it called? We have it in the US now. Oh, Mercari. I tried going on there, which has kind of been like a... I've seen a big shift from there going to... Or from Yahoo Auctions going to there, and it's way... Yahoo Auctions is very Japanese. It's got its own vibe going on. Also, auctions are kind of hard to buy through. I mean, like, Yahoo Auctions are very common in Japan. So there is a system now to buy through forwarder, or like companies that will buy. Because a forwarder is technically, well, you guys will see it in a future video. It hasn't shown up, but it's looking like the following Monday. It'll show up where I bought things. They let me use my money, or PayPal or credit card or whatever, and then I ship it to a place in Japan, and then they ship it out to the U.S. This is actually the same company, except you pay a little bit more because they actually go and buy it for you as well. And then I consolidated these two because instead of, I looked on Mercari because I was trying to find this one. I found a lot of 9mm Parabellum Bullet albums that I like are limited, live limited edition ones through there, and I thought that would be a good place. Couldn't find it. Ended up finding this on Rakuten. I think it's Rakutama or something like that. Rakuma, Rakuten Rakuma, which is the like I said, like the seller marketplace rather than like a retailer. Jeez, yeah, that's some good tape there. There we go. And I found this actually based on it was actually a listing from another site that was relisting that then said they had this, and it was actually a listing from a long time ago. I want to say like long, but like many months ago, if not a year or near a year ago, it felt like. And I was like, oh shit, is it actually in stock? Turns out, like, if it doesn't go in stock, like, you buy it like normally, it's almost like an eBay buy it now sort of thing. And I couldn't buy it. I tried, but it turned out that despite allowing you to put in foreign credit cards, Japan loves this too. You can put in the foreign credit card, it acts like it takes it, but then it just doesn't. And if you go and read a certain thing, it just says, like, oh, if you somehow got to this point, foreign cards are just not allowed. And you're just like... So I actually had to message this guy, and I'll leave a good review for him, because I was like, hey, I'm a dick, I know I'm a foreigner, I look like an asshat here, can you cancel it? I know I said I'd pay for it, because, like, all this stuff in Japan with used stuff kind of goes off trust and that sort of stuff, right? I am going to pay for it, but it literally does not allow me to. I didn't realize that before I offered to buy it from you, or before I said I'd pay for it. My bad. You know. And then I had BUYEE buy it for me. So with this, oh my gosh, this one's new. Well, I was on there because I was searching for, if you look at this, that's essentially, like I said, live. Some form of, or it might be like one man live or something like that. Tape. I was like, I didn't know they made a tape of this. And I looked closer. They didn't. I'll let you guys look closer. That doesn't say 2021. That says 2001. I had no idea this even existed. So, I now have another tape. I've got a couple of them because there's some Your Song Is Good stuff exclusive to tapes that they did. They did a live event, like they did a coffee shop event, recorded it, and then sold them. That's actually why, if you guys are wondering why a lot of live stuff is on tapes, especially when you're even into the CD era, is because 9mm Parabellum Bullet has a partnership with a company that does do live, and then when you're leaving, or you can pre-buy it, like when you come in, you can buy your merch, and you can pre-buy a CD, or you can buy it on the way out as well, and they will literally burn the concert you just listened to, or at least some tracks of it, to a CD. Well, that is actually much harder to do. There's actually technology behind it. They have like CD duplicators. It's really cool. But that is something they've done basically ever since they kind of even hit it slightly big, and they've partnered with a specific company for doing it. But tapes, on the other hand, are, you don't need all that fancy tech to do it. You can just do it because it's just tape. Now I don't know if this is in the same vein as that. But it was awesome. Like I said, I was looking for this guy, and obviously if you look at the title, same title, and I thought it was 2021 at first. You know, I'm like, oh, they didn't know they made a tape version. I didn't see that on their website. Well, they didn't. This is 2001. So while I was on there, and since with any of these kind of forwarding programs, they let you consolidate, or even just buying from Japan that ship internationally, like, they understand you're gonna want to like combine stuff, and generally it's 30 days they let you wait. So yeah, I picked up both of them. This cost more than this. The tape cost more. Then I also, because it was a tape, they repackaged it, and that's why it was taped up so nice in the bubbly wrap. And you're like, you spent $2. I think it was like $2, 2,300 yen or something like that. 2,300 yen. No, 230 yen. For them, it was like improved packaging. I was like, oh, with how rare this is and the fact I've never seen it, it can't be the worst thing in the world to do that. I also didn't know, because sometimes they actually have like harder shells they'll put on like DVDs and CDs and that sort of stuff. Oddly, the CD didn't have it. Otherwise, I would have tried it as well. Because when you're spending $36 for shipping, another $2 just to make sure the stuff isn't busted up is you know, not a bad thing. I don't know if I would necessarily do it for a tape again, because it is just bubble wrap. But I don't know if you saw it. What they did do is when they put it in there, is they put buffer, like they rolled up the extra bubble wrap on the edges, so that if it hit something, it wouldn't, you know, smash. So that's like a technique that I would personally use. So somebody definitely put time in here. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for the bubble wrap, guys. That did not cost that money. You're paying for somebody's time of opening up your thing and rewrapping it. You can also pay more too, like especially these used things that come in. These I knew were in good condition. This I didn't even realize, but apparently it's unopened. But if you're buying used stuff, you can actually pay them a couple bucks to go and look at it and make sure it is and is in the condition that it was when they sold it. So if it's something actually used, you might want to do that, because they'll actually confirm if it's actually what it says it is, and if it's in the quality that it says it is, roughly. And they'll send you. You can pay a little bit more too to have pictures sent over. And if you're trying to get some rare stuff, that might very well be worth it. Now, like I said, in these two cases, I knew we were good. Maybe I just don't remember that this was brand new, but it was. And then and this one was listed as being never listened to, and I can't see that it might have been opened, like this taken out. But Japan always takes, like, their used is barely used. Yeah, so I've used BUYEE once before for something. I don't remember. It was a place that I could get into once again, but they wouldn't take my U.S. credit card despite processing it completely. And then one other, I can't remember. There's another one that I've done where they just straight up wouldn't even though I had a cell phone number. I forget what you needed to put in. You had to verify some sort of ID or bank account or credit card number. And I was just like, yeah, there's no way in heck that's happening. Normally, though, I can just buy a Tenso owns BUYEE. Normally, though, I can just buy it myself as long as they'll take an international credit card, because I can even get around the stuff that needs the phone number, because I have one. And I can just pay with my credit card, and I ship it to them. You get 30 days to kind of like consolidate a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff coming over there in about a week. Should be here. Or next week it should be here. Might be less than a week. By the way, this shipped on the 5th of this month. Showed up on the 8th of this month. Yes. Shipping internationally from Japan is faster than shipping from like another state over. Mind-blowing. This did also come DHL. I generally choose the BUYEE Express shipping, where they just choose. If you end up wanting to choose your carrier, it costs way more. I want to say DHL, like choosing DHL was double this, whereas just using BUYEE Express, where they just ship it their fastest means that meet the minimum shipping requirements that you have, so whatever's cheapest basically for them. So far, both times it's ended up being DHL for me, because I don't buy big things. I tend to buy CDs, DVDs. At most, it might be like a DVD or Blu-ray box set. So far, both times it has been DHL, and it's been like half the price by using the. They also might consolidate, because a lot of I don't know if you saw the bag, but it's got a certain, like, they're all tagged and labeled so that they can keep track of it and everything. They may do the thing where, like, that's how you get cheaper shipping from Canada to the U.S. is you bundle it all into a pallet and you ship the pallet across, and you unbundle it, and you're like, that's a lot. It seems like a lot more work in the way of like the bundling and unbundling, because somebody's got to track all that, and it isn't going to be like the post office. It's going to be a person that does that, or a company that does that. So that's what may have happened with this too. I'm not 100% sure. There are some like really cheap ones. Do not go with any of the what we call like C-mail, or it's not called ground parcel service, like, unless you have to for weight reasons, because that is C-mail. So it's going to take a boat from over there. Takes 30 days to get here, and that's not unloading, loading, going through customs. Like 30 days for the trip is generally roughly what it takes. And I'm surprised that this, when it goes DHL, I know it's going to come generally within 2 weeks. Even sometimes that can be 2.5 at most. But like, if you ever order from China and it comes through China Post, it's usually about a month, right? It can be even longer coming from Japan. And especially with like the boats getting caught in the harbors and just sitting there for weeks, sometimes not being unloaded, and then when they get them in the dock, they don't have truckers to move them, and they don't have warehouses to put stuff in, and blah 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 blah. Just the way it pay the extra, especially if it's something rare like this. You'll get it. You get a tracking number then too, and not just one that is like, oh, it's been delivered, or it left the country. Yeah. And you're like, oh, great. Okay, so when am I getting it? You'll get it. We swear. Pinky promise. Or, pinky promise. Like I said, I've had really good luck. DHL could also ship during the Corona-chan because they have their own planes. Whereas most of Japanese airmail relies on consumer planes. So they just pay to stick one of those luggage cubes. Instead of being full of luggage, it is full of mail. makes sense. The plane's already flying, you know, especially on those big 747s and stuff like that. So, you know, just something to think about. Worked again by so far both times has been great. This guy didn't seem grumpy. Like, you know, like I just explain myself. Always, guys, just ask questions, explain yourself, be nice. Start out that way. You know what I mean? You can get, even I get spicy sometimes with some of these things. You've heard of some of my RMA stories. Sometimes you actually have to get a bit spicy. But don't start there. It is not going to go well. I can tell you if you're dealing with me too, it is not going to go well if you start there. Will I still help you? Quite possibly. Will it be as easy as it could have been? Hell no. Have I had people literally come in and apologize to me because I've still taken care of it, and they realized, like, after they get to the parking lot, they sat in the toilet a bit, that they were being completely fucking unreasonable? Yes. If you notice that happens, do apologize. It actually does help. You know, but yeah, generally try not to be a horrible human being. Now, sometimes, as you like, I've had to, you got to kind of put pressure, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more pressure, um, and it does take a little bit of patience and perseverance, but eventually you'll get there. And also, like, have all your stuff beforehand. If you notice, I already know for all this sort of stuff, like, what I need. And if you can, if you don't know what you need, ask beforehand. Okay, if we're gonna have this call on this, what do you need me to have during the call? That is also why I like email, because you can have a little bit more time there and a bit more prep. Like, you thinking and finding things doesn't take time, but some places like refuse to do it like just via chat or via phone call. So, but yeah, this went just as well as usual, and I'm super pumped to have that CD. And I have to get a good cassette deck. I have one from my uncle. Got to rebuild it. Apparently the belts are bad because it's like late '80s. But it seems like a really high end one. He's gotten me a bunch of my '80s, '90s, '70s, '80s, '90s audio gear that I use. Usually garage sales and stuff like that. That's getting rarer and rarer nowadays because people just don't have hi-fi, which you should. You should, guys. Even just get the older stuff. Like, get yourself a new receiver, so you can have your HDMI in and your USB in and your etc. But you know, you don't need the latest and greatest speakers unless you need the wife approval factor. You know, even then, you know, if you got a wood motif, like I got some nice you know, like those nice Pioneers that are nice dark wood, real wood with lattice work on the front. Give those a nice little shine. They'll look better than any modern thing you get, because they just don't put, unless you're going real high end, they do not put that effort and work into them like they used to. So, and sound makes so much of a difference. Why does King Arthur watch TV? He wants that surround sound. He wants to hear the helicopter go, you know, brrr, and he looks around for it, because he's trying to find it. You know what I mean? It adds a lot. A nice set of headphones as well, but speakers do have a lot more presence, and I still to this day, like, headphones are a secondary option always. So stay tuned. There'll be a follow-up video, hopefully pretty soon, about the stuff I had forwarded in through Tenso, just in general, because I had a bunch of stuff shipped there and consolidated and shipped back to me. A bunch of stuff I've been trying to get for a while that I finally just said, screw it, it's not going to show up on a place that I can buy from that'll just ship to me, or won't show up in the U.S., and slap some money down. By the way, shipping within Japan, 300 yen, literally nothing. So I don't even know if I could get a letter mailed in the U.S. I think I could get a letter mailed in the U.S. for that, but like, not a padded envelope. That'll be like $10 plus at this point. Minimum eight something. You know, 300 yen. So that part's not costly. Like the shipping it all to the consolidating company. It's the shipping it back to you, and then the fees. Now, obviously, if you don't have to have them repack it, or you don't have to have them consolidate it, there's less fees, etc., etc. But you're still going to end up saving yourself money if you just stick it all together and ship it as one thing, because instead of paying $36 three times, you're paying $38 or maybe $42 once. So let me know if you have any questions on this sort of stuff down below. But yeah, this was a happy accident. Went out looking for this guy and found both of them. As always, have a good one. Peace.